Hey everybody, Derek Brown here, BEATBoX SAX, with another Tuesday tutorial for you. Today I'm going to talk about something I call bass flutters, and this is very much related to flutter tonguing. But how this effect came about was I was seeking for kind of a pitchless sound in the low register. I have these pitchless effects that I use that kind of mimic a snare or that mimic a hi-hat, but I didn't really have one for the bass. I use the bass sounds a lot in my BEATBoX sax playing, but it's always slap-tonguing notes, so I always get these pitches, and that usually works great for songs because it kind of doubles as like an actual like slap bass guitar sound and kind of a bass drum. So. However, sometimes I just want to sound like a drum set. Because I had those pitchless things on the top, I wanted to see if it was possible to get a pitchless sound in the bass. And the way that I basically had tried a bunch of different things, like fingering a low B flat and slap tonguing, but slightly lifting up fingers, and I would dabble with it for a while, but I just wasn't satisfied. And so this is kind of the best thing that I could come up with. And even if you don't think it sounds like a bass drum, it's just kind of a cool sound anyways. So what I'm doing here is I'm kind of doing similar to a saxophonist doing flutter tonguing, which is rolling your R's while playing into the horn. Now it's a bit different, and so if you can flutter tongue, I think that's a great start, but it's not quite that. So flutter tonguing involves rolling your R's, where the tongue is kind of on the upper part of the mouth, vibrating very fast. This is going to involve bringing the tongue forward a little bit more. And basically it's like kind of like rolling T's. So instead of it's tongue is right against my upper teeth, vibrating very fast. And it's not just that, but it's also kind of getting your lips involved, kind of like just a lip buzz that a brass player would do. And so it's kind of doing the two of those at the same time. So when practicing this, see if you can get that T sound, which is like a kid, pretending he has a machine gun. But then bring your lips together and keep your teeth almost closed. And see if you can get your both to vibrate at the same time, because that's what I'm going to be doing on the mouthpiece. And it's kind of messy, spit's flying everywhere, but hey, that's all part of it. So when I put the mouthpiece into my mouth, kind of like the smacker scratches, I'm not going to be using a normal embouchure. Ideally, I'm going to get to the point where my teeth are actually on the mouthpiece, but I do have to scoot it back a little bit, and that's because you have to get your mouth kind of more closed compared to a normal embouchure, so you can get those lips to vibrate. And I think the smacking of the lips against the reed along with the T kind of makes that lower sound. So I would recommend, though, however, doing the vibrations with the mouthpiece just barely in your mouth, just so that your upper and lower lips are around the mouthpiece, but you don't have your teeth involved at all, so you can kind of keep those teeth closed and trying to get that sound. So. And if you kind of use some extra pressure and think low air, you can kind of get that lower vibration to pop out. I also kind of think of almost a frowning face to get that lower sound. And you can get a pretty powerful sound there, and you can hear that flapping against the mouthpiece. Once you get that, see if you can gradually scoot your mouth in further and further onto the mouthpiece, so that basically you can at least get your top teeth on there. Then you don't have to make so much adjustments when you're playing regular stuff, and then you want to do the bass flutters. So eventually you want to get to where your top teeth are on the mouthpiece, just on the tip. And then the goal, like so many of these other techniques, is can you start using some of the other effects with that. So if I just wanted to do the other percussive effects, I could do that hi-hat and the saxophone pops along with it. keep your teeth on that mouthpiece. Also, if you want to get that bass drum sound, I find that the harder the better, of course, and then the shorter the better. Don't let it vibrate too much, so it doesn't sound like any kind of note. But and an important thing that I'm forgetting to mention is, yes, I am fingering something similar to a low B flat to get it out, but I find that when I do a low B flat, I actually can hear, you can hear that B flat tone in there. Here's the B flat. You can kind of hear that. So I found, just messing around on this, I finger a low B flat, and then I lift up my low C key, the pinky key on the right side, lift that up, and it kind of spreads the tone a little bit, kind of like a multiphonic sound. And I find that then it's a little bit more pitchless. So here's that. Versus the low B flat. It might have a little bit higher frequencies, but it doesn't have a pitch. So that's how I finger it. So, okay, a lot to do with that, a lot going on with that effect. Not the easiest thing, but it can really kind of add a cool effect when you just want to go straight percussive sounds on the sax. It kind of complete the big three of hi-hat, snare, and bass. So yeah, feel free to post me questions down below the video. Visit my website, DerekBrownSax.com, and feel free to sign up for Skype lessons. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys next Tuesday. So happy practicing.